Turn your face towards the sun, and the shadows fall behind you. Don't look back, just carry on, and the shadows will never find.
We continue with our Python tutorials. Today we are continuing with the loops. We are looking at loops, and this time we are looking at a for loop. So we want to look at a practical example where we can use the loop. So we are going to use our loop statement. We are going to use a nested loop to plot something like this. We are going to plot something like this. It shall have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to have five rows. Okay, so we are going to use our nested loop to plot, to use these stars and plot something like this. Okay, so we are going to plot something like this using a for loop, a for nested loop. Okay, so we are, first of all, it is going to have four rows. So we are going to first introduce our variable here. We are going to call it rows. So we are going to say rows equal to 5. Okay, but now we are going to operate the for loops on a range, on ranges. So we are going to say for I, let's say for I in range, I'm going to say for I in range for I in range 5, but beginning with 1. For I in range, so instead of putting 5 here, we are going to put the name here, because rows are equal to 5. So let's put the name here, rows. Okay, and we are going to add 1 here. Okay, so we want our rows to be 5. Okay, so we are saying for I in range 1, rows plus 1. So a range is a range is something like, if we say range 5, so a range has by default, if you say range 5 by default, it means it will give a range by default begins from 0. Okay, and it increments the 0 by 1. By default, a range begins from 0 and it increments itself by 1. Okay, and it comes to 5, but it does not include 5. It does not include this figure. So range 5 will begin from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it will not include the 5. So that is a range. So a range will always begin from 0 by default, and it will increment by 1 still by default, up to this final number, but it will not include this final number. So the range of 5 is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that there was just to understand the range, but still you can give a range, you can give it a start value, and you can also give it an increment number. So for example, if you want the range of 5, but to start with a particular number here, you can still give it. So you can say, for example, you can say range 5, but you can give it a start value, whereby if you want the range to begin from 2, you put 2 here in the beginning. So this will be the start value, and this will be the range, and the value you put here will be the increment. So How do you want to increment 5? Do you want to increment, if you want 5 to be incremented by 1 or by 2, so let's in this case put 1. So if you put 1 here, so it will read as range 5, but beginning from 2, range 5 beginning from 2 and incremented by 1. So in this case, this will be, you will start, in this case, you will have the range of 5 to be 2. If you add 1 on 2, you get 3. If you add 1 on 3, you get 4. So in this case, this will be the range. Okay. So a range will, you can determine the range by giving it a start value and an increment value. Okay. Yeah. So that is just some more information about the range. Okay. So when we go back to our example here, so when we look at for I in range, in range of 5, this is 5 plus 1. So why we add this one is because it is because the rows are 5. Okay, the rows are 5. Okay, and in this case we want our range to begin from 1. Okay, so if so it will be like this one. So this one here will imply that it will imply range of 5, because here rows are equal to 5, and so this will be the start value. Okay, and why, so it will be like this will be the range here. Okay, so I want to explain why we added 1 here. So in this case our range will be, in this case it will be 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so remember we want our figure, the stars that we drew in the beginning, we want them to have 5 rows. That's why we added this one here. So if we add 1 on rows, so we make this 6. Okay, so we make this 6 such that in our range it will come to 5. If this is 6, so it means that the range will come up to 5, and we shall have 5. We shall have 5. We shall have 5 numbers here. So I will explain more as we go on. So now I hope you have understood that. So because we're going to use a nested loop, we are going to use a nested loop. Okay, so nested loops, it is nested loops are loops inside other loops. So here we are having the first loop here, which is for I in range this. Okay, so if we just wanted to print all the numbers in the range of our result here, we would say at this point, if we want to print just the result of this, we would say print. We would say print this I. Okay, and so if we say print I, it means that it will first figure out this range, and this range will be, this will imply it will be range of 1 to 6, because this rows plus 1, rows is 5, so when we add 1 it is 6. So this will imply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if you want to print out this, if you print out I, you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because these are the elements in range of 6. Okay, so this will be I, but this is not what we want. We want to introduce another loop inside this loop. So this loop here, so let's introduce another loop. So another loop will be, we introduce another for loop, and so we shall say the first loop reads for I in range of this. We are not printing it out, so we are introducing another for loop. So we say for I, so again we say for I in, no, because this is I, so let us introduce another variable here. So let's call it j. So we shall say for j in range, this time we are going to say for j in range I. For j in range I, okay? Remember, whenever you put this statement, you have to end with these two semicolons, okay? So we're going to say for j in range I, okay? So if we wanted to print out, so because we are looping, this is a nested loop. So for a nested loop, it means this is the outer loop and this is the inner loop, okay? So for a nested loop, it means that all the elements in the first loop will operate against each of the elements in the second loop, okay? So we saw that the outcome in the first loop, our outcome in the first loop was 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5, okay? This was our outcome in the first loop, okay? So now we are saying in the second loop, we are looping against I, okay? And in this case, I is all of these numbers. In this case, our I is the all of these numbers, okay? So we're saying for j in range I, okay? So remember, when if we are to print I, we are going to print it's going to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? But now in our second loop, we are saying, in the inner loop, we are saying for j, again for j in range I. So if we are to print j, at this point, if we are to print j, so we are saying for j in range I. So what is range I? So range I is like the range of each of these numbers here. The range of each of these numbers will be range I. So let us first try to work that out here. So we are going to say, so range for j in range I. So what is range I? So range I will be like the range of, it will be like the range of these numbers, okay? So it will be like range of 1, it will be range 2, range 3, range 4, and range 5, okay? So print j, so range of I is the range of these numbers here, okay? So just put range on each of the numbers, okay? So what is range 1? So range 1 is, remember we said range by default begins from 0 and increments by 1. So if we say range 1, remember the final digit is not included. And remember, we begin from 0 and we increment by 1. So that means that range 1 will just be 0, the starting point. Because if you are to increment 0 by 1, you will have 1. And remember, the final digit is not included in the range. So range of 2 will be 0, 1. And range of 3 will be 0, 1, and 2. Range of 4 will be 0, 1, 2, 3. And range of 5 will be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So the range of, if we are, for j in range I, so if we are to print j, J, if we are to print J, J will print these figures. Okay, J will print these figures. Okay, so now instead of printing J, if you want to come up with the other figure that I showed you, so instead of printing the outcome of J, we are going to print. In this case, we are going to print. So we're going to remove print J, okay, and we are going to say print our star. Okay, so instead of printing any of these numbers here, instead the computer is going to print a star. Okay, because all these are the outcomes from our loop here. These are all the outcomes from our loop. So instead of the computer printing these particular outcomes here, it is instead going to replace, it is going to be printing our symbol here. So that means that this will be star. Wherever there is an outcome, you replace it with a star. So it will be star 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 and so we get our shape here. So that's the program. That is how it's going to be printed. So let us now practically go to the computer. We use the program and we see it practically as we continue with our nested loops.